Hi, how's it going everyone? This is Fine Gaming Connoisseur, and welcome back to this Let's Play of Mortal Online, the second era. Today you're watching episode 91. And so today I just want to continue with the new player progression guide, which I started some time back. And so today's episode is going to be about crafting. And so what I want to do in this episode is I want to just tell you a little bit about how crafting works in this game, and also I will just craft a few things as an example, just to show you how it all works. And so this video is aimed primarily at new players who are interested in learning more about crafting. So I guess I'll just begin by saying that crafting in this game works very differently to how a lot of other MMORPGs would normally design their crafting system in their game. And what I mean by that is in a lot of traditional theme park MMORPGs such as World of Warcraft, the crafting mechanic in those games is very much hard-coded. And what I mean by that is if you were to, let's say you wanted to learn how to craft armor, then what you would normally do is you go to the vendor and you learn the skill, and then after that you would proceed to buy recipes for different pieces of armor, different types of armor types, and then once you acquired the recipes, then what you would do after that is you would go out and acquire the materials that you'll need, and then after that you can craft that particular item at the correct crafting bench. And so in many ways it's a very simplistic, and everything's been laid out for you, and there's no way for you to experiment as such. So there's no way for you to craft a different type of armor from that recipe, and you cannot use different types of materials. But in this game, things work very differently. So instead of giving you recipes, hard-coded recipes that you just go and acquire the materials and then craft, what you would do is you would first acquire the skills for the particular item that you want to craft. So let's say you want to be an armor crafter. Then what you would normally do is you would go to the crafting tutor in the cities in the game world, and then you would click on whatever craft that you want to learn, or you can go to the librarians who would sell the skill books that would enable you to basically learn the skills. So either one way or the other, you can learn the skills, the basic skills that you'll need. And so in this game, what you would do is first of all you acquire the skills, and then after that you would go to find the materials. And this is where things become interesting, because once you learn the skills, the next thing you need to figure out is what sort of materials are you going to use. And there are many materials in this game that you can use, and broadly speaking, the materials in this game can be broken into 3 different categories, and these are hard, bendable, and foldable materials. So I'll just give you a few examples of what the 3 different categories are. So let's begin by just talking about hard materials. Hard materials are things like wood, metal, and stone. If you're using stone to craft the item, it would be things such as bone tissue and molarium, which is, I believe, is a kind of dental material, a kind of bone, like a form of teeth that you get from looting creatures such as wolves and other canines. So these are what is classified as hard materials. And the next material that I would explain to you is bendable materials. Now, bendable materials will be things such as scales. So if you go to the jungle and you hunt lizards and then you butcher the carcasses, then you would get the lizard scales. And so the lizard scales are bendable materials. So and other types of bendable materials would be things like boiled leather. So it's a type of leather that's been hardened and it's considered a bendable material. And finally, the third type of material that you would encounter in this game is foldable materials. Now, foldable materials would be things such as cotton, fur, leather, and wool. So these are the three different categories of materials. And so once you acquire the skills for the craft that you want to go down into, the route that you want to go down into, and then after that you would acquire the materials. So once you've figured out what materials you want to use to make the item that you want to craft for that particular craft that you've decided to go down to, let's say armor crafting, then now would come the time to go to the crafting bench, the correct crafting bench to craft the item. So let's say in this case you're going down the armor crafting route, which I have for Raynon, for this character, then you would access the crafting bench. And so this is how the armor crafting bench looks like. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind is that for different crafting disciplines, so let's say armor crafting, there are certain things that you need to bear in mind, and that is that different types of armor have different material restrictions. And what I mean by that is, let's say you chose Caladian laminar armor, you can only use, I think if I'm not mistaken, you can only use hard materials for the primary slot. And let's say you're crafting heavy robes, you can only use foldable materials for the primary slot. And so so just keep in mind that there are certain restrictions that you will need to bear in mind, because you will not be able to use hard materials to craft heavy robe. And in a way, if you think about it, it does make sense. I mean, if you try to make heavy robe using wood, it's just not going to work. It just basically it won't make sense, and the game won't let you do it. So there are certain restrictions like that, and also with the support material you can only use foldable materials, so things like wool, cotton, fur, and leather. So just bear in mind that different crafts have different material restrictions. So, but let's say you're crafting shields in this example. The primary slot, you can only put wood in here. So that's an interesting thing that you need to keep in mind, is that even though wood is a hard material, but in this slot here you can only put wood. You cannot put things like metal, bone tissue, or other hard materials. You can only use wood. But with coat material, you can use foldable materials and bendable materials and hard materials. So other slots are more flexible, but that's for you to figure out. But I'm just telling you that that there are restrictions with the materials that you can use. So, and also there are slots here. There are sliders here that determine the density of for that particular slot. So, but at the moment, if I'm not mistaken, there is only high density and low density. So, but that's just from what I've seen on the forums. So it may be the case, but it may be the case that there is only high density and low density, but I'm not too sure about that. So you may want to experiment and try things out for yourself. But but that's what I've seen on the forums. So, and I believe it is from a reliable source. So yeah. But you know, things might change in the future. So just keep that in mind. That at the moment there is only high density and low density. And okay, so there are just summarize on what we've talked about so far. There are 3 different categories of materials, and there are restrictions on, you know, the kind of materials that you can use for different types of crafting, you know, crafting disciplines. So armor crafting, shield crafting, and so forth. So now I'm just going to craft a weapon, just as an example, just to show you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to craft a shield and also a sword. Actually, I can't craft a shield, I don't have any wood with me. So what I will do is I'll craft a sword using bone tissue and also leather. Now this is just for the purposes of this video. It's just for showing you, you know, if you're new to this game and you're new to crafting, just to show you how, you know, the possibilities. So you are not restricted to using just one type of material. You can use all different kinds of materials, as long as you abide by the material restrictions that I've explained to you earlier on. But you know, other than that, you're free to use whatever you wish. So it's a very flexible and very creative system that it allows you to experiment and create whatever you can come up with in your mind, as long as it abides by the, you know, the game's, you know, restrictions on materials. And so what I'm doing now is I'm crafting a one-handed star Quillian hilt with a heavy short blade. And as you can see here, I'm using bone tissue for the core, full grain leather for the handle, for the outer coating, and bone tissue for the head. And the head is what you would see as the blade itself. So now here's a preview, but there seems to be some sort of a bug that you know, so you can't really see the whole, you know, the whole sword. You can only see the part of the hilt, and I believe that is a bug, and so hopefully that SV in future will you know, try and fix that. But so these are the materials that I'm using. So let's just go ahead and craft that item, and here we go. So here's the item I just crafted. Now if you look at the damage output, you can't really see accurately the amount of damage that it does. And you know, I've sort of come to theorize that this is probably due to the fact that, you know, my character is not a combat character, but if I were to give that sword to, let's say, my combat characters, let's say Starkneer or Tybers, then the statistics would be more accurate, because those two characters are combat characters, and for some reason, when you give it to a character who is more experienced or more knowledgeable or more skilled in combat, then somehow the statistics would show up more accurately. But if I were to craft anything using Reynan, you know, the stats would just be, you know, sort of not very accurate and not very easy to, you know, basically very hard to figure out how much damage it does. So, but you know, that's a nice little touch, I think, to the way this game is designed. It's sort of probably SV's way of saying that, if you want to know how much damage or how much protection your weapon or armor provides, then you'll need to be, somewhat skilled in combat. And so I think that's what they've done here, is that they've made it so that you do have to be experienced in the ways of combat. So it's a nice little touch, I guess, in my opinion. And so so I'll just leave this here, and I will send it to Starkneer later, and then you can use this sword for fighting. Okay, so I hope that this video helps you understand how crafting works in this game. Hope that you gain a better understanding of how it works. Now I've put several links in the description below that will take you to the official forums, and the links are basically guides from this player named Golgotha. Well, actually that's not his player name, but that's his forum name. And I've put up several articles from, okay. For a second I thought that was some sort of huge monster. So but I put up the his articles in the description, and so those articles are basically, they go into detail the different a bit more on the armor crafting, shield crafting, and weapons crafting. Now those articles may be out of date, but there are some parts of those articles which will still provide you with some better understanding as well. It will sort of help you to know a bit more about things like material types and the skills that you'll need. And so it's basically a good read. So if you have the time and you're inclined to do so, then I would encourage you to read those guides, because I do find them to be quite useful, even though some of them might be a bit outdated. But even then, I think it's still useful to those of you who are learning how to craft. And I've certainly learned a bit more about crafting through reading those articles, those guides. So do take a look. And so I hope that this video has helped you to understand crafting a little bit better. So thank you for watching this video today, and if you enjoyed it, please do like, comment, subscribe, and share. So I will bring more videos in the coming days, and so look forward to seeing you then. So until then, this is Fine Gaming Connoisseur. Thanks for watching. Take care.